Hello, YouTubers. Joe Kersey here on Sunday, November 17th at about 2:30 in the afternoon, Eastern Time. Um, Now, I got up actually 12 hours ago. And as is often the case at night, I engage in various quasi-academic pursuits. I was reading N.T. Wright and then, you know, whenever he'd give a biblical reference, I'd go to various Bibles and commentaries to work through what they said about it in relation to what he said about it. So it was a productive 3 hours before I decided to get tidied up here so I could go to church, early church at the 8 o'clock service, to which I went and it was a very good service. Our deacon Roseanne preached. She's very, very good. Uh, she she preaches on a far more scripturally based, textually based level than does our rector. It was okay. I mean, I enjoy hearing what he has to say, but it doesn't fire me up inside. I mean, it doesn't get me rolling inside. She comes probably as close to any scripturally or textually based preacher I've ever heard in the U.S. Episcopal Church. She references the texts. She goes back to the Greek. I mean, she's good. When she gets a load of experience under her belt, she's going to be really good. So whoever ends up with her is going to be lucky. Now, she'll be here for another year after this first year. She'll be ordained as a full priest at the end of this year, and then she'll be with us another year. That's great. That'll be good. Look forward to hearing more of what she has to say. Well, today's gospel was the Luke 21 passage about sort of the temple being torn down, and there's going to be all sorts of horrible things happen, and the apostles are going to have to put up with a lot of stuff, and there's going to be people reviling them, etc., etc. And that's often viewed as that and Mark 13 are often viewed as sort of the gospel apocalypses. Of course, Revelation is called. The earlier title for Revelation was the Apocalypse of St. John. Well, and apocalypse, see, has been in certainly in American usage, has for the last 100 years now, been used to mean end times. The end times. That's eschatology. That's not apocalypse. That's eschatology. Eschatology is how we approach the end time. Some people would say we're living already in an inaugurated eschatology. Jesus Christ came and died, was resurrected, ascended, therefore inaugurated the end time. Others would say, take a more dispensational view of, there's going to be like a rapture in 1,000 years, and then, so there's different views of the end time. A book I would recommend to people is by Witherington III, and it's got a very lurid cover on it. But it's a very conventional statement of the biblical texts, and there are a number of them. Of course, Revelation is obvious, but there are a number of them. Paul alludes to some things in his letters. Second Thessalonians is particularly apposite to all this stuff. And I would recommend that book to your attention. I'll put the name of the book here in my comments at the end of this. But it's worthwhile looking at. It's very short, very pithy. Don't be put off by the cover. This is not a sensationalist account of the end of time. It's a very academic book. So anyway, so the real meaning of apocalyptic is and N.T. Wright gave this definition, and Roseanne basically used, I don't think she used his definition, but she gave a definition very similar to it, is you're having an encounter with the divine. An apocalyptic moment is when you have an encounter with the divine. Now, the Greek word means, revelation, revealing, a giving of an understanding. That's an apocalyptic event or a moment or an encounter. And so, in that context, if you think about an apocalypse that way, as opposed to some horrible overturning and upending of things, then you can have apocalyptic moments, oftentimes, many times during a day or a week. Whenever you have an encounter with the divine, an encounter with God. Now, sometimes those encounters are felt very deeply. Sometimes they're just almost like you're having a conversation over the phone with a friend. Sometimes they're very profound, like a very intimate connection. Much as the medieval mystics wrote about when they encountered Jesus in a state of prayer. I mean, it's really erotic. It's almost embarrassing to read some of these. But clearly they were having an apocalyptic moment. And so you can have apocalyptic moments, well, most usually when you're reading the Word of God. Ideally in a prayerful state, opening your mind to what you might hear or think that you hadn't heard or thought before. Any state of prayer, that can be an apocalyptic moment, as opposed to a pro forma moment. I mean, there are a lot of prayer moments that are pro forma, but that's okay. That's okay, because you never know when it's going to turn into an apocalyptic encounter. Obviously, taking communion in the churches that are more Eucharistically based, for churches that are more geared toward acts and deeds, as opposed to primarily faith-based. Although that's a false dichotomy. That's acts of love and mercy flow from faith. Those are the fruits of faith. But if you perform an act of mercy, that's an apocalyptic moment. And say if you have two friends that are having an argument, you try to square things away. That's a thankless task, by the way. That often doesn't work out well. But people can try. Prayerfully donate what you can to a charity that you value and you think's doing very good work. The church. I give to two. I concentrate on two rather than these little $20 here, $20 there, 15, 30 donations of, all over the place like some people do. Because that focuses the money, focuses the resource. Well, an apocalypse is meant to be, it's meant to be and can be a, a, a continually, and that's the key word here, continually transforming and renewing experience until the fully realized eschatology, the fully realized end of time. In other words, transforming and renewing. Well, transforming, the Greek for that's, metamorphoso, metamorphosis, that's the root. That's very intimately connected with the transfiguration. That's where you actually have a direct personal encounter with the divine Jesus. Fully revealed as fully divine. Finally revealed, hence apocalyptic. And then renewing, all of the Greek words that do with renewing have the same root as resurrection. Reborn. Making the world new, making the world around you new. That's an apocalyptic moment. It has nothing to do with the temple coming down and everything going to hell and everything. It's just it's actually the opposite. It's actually the opposite. I mean, that stuff will happen. But then, what do you do? What do you do? And that gets back to what I think I had an earlier video talking about. What are we to do? What do you do? This is what we do. These are the kinds of things we do. We're supposed to do or try to do. We might fail, but that's what we're supposed to try to do. So, there. Okay. Well, God bless you all, YouTubers. I'm going to say bye-bye now.